Welcome to What's Up in Jeju, where I visit places around the island and talk about what's happening with hashtag Daily K's host, Peter Bint.
Where are we going? What are we doing today for What's Up in Jeju?
Right, so today we're going back, all the way back in history to even before Jeju was called Jeju. We're going to the time of the birth of civilization on Jeju Island, which is really the beginning of Tamna Kingdom, right? You've heard of Tamna, right?
Tamnaguk, right, is what it's sometimes referred to.
Yes.
When I first heard it, I thought it was a type of soup in Korea, something cook, but the cook meaning country.
Right.
I don't think there is a Tamna soup out there
No,
yet.
I don't think so. Although maybe that may be a good idea. Marketing.
A Jeju soup, yeah.
Yeah. However, we won't be going on this ride today in any scientifically measured way. And I know, Peter, you're a bit of a science guy, right?
No, I love the story of the lady who was a mountain and didn't like bits of Jeju fall off of her or something. Yeah.
Or fell through her skirt, her tattered apron.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So this may seem like sort of a letdown to all you science people out there, but I still believe it's really fascinating all the same because you get kind of like a window into the history of Jeju people and of how they thought and like their thinking and then where their heart and their soul was, right?
We love stories, don't we, as a human race?
Yeah,
so
we do.
I don't think we need to be too sciencey.
Oh, nice, because today we're not doing anything related to science. Well, maybe a tad bit, a little bit. But today we'll be visiting the birthplace of Tamnaguk, or the Kingdom of Tamna, which was the name of Jeju Island before it was Jeju Island. So we are going to visit this place, but we're going to visit it and look at it through the lens of mythology and legend and lore. So that's going to be really cool.
Oh, so the birthplace of Jeju Island, or Tamnaguk, like physically. So
Yes.
I don't get it. How can there be a place if it wasn't even born yet? Okay, I'm getting too sciencey already,
Yes.
but that doesn't make much sense. Is this said to be like the starting point of the island?
Yes, exactly. This is a specific place. It is now considered a sacred place, and it was back in the day too, on the island. That's said to be the birthplace of civilization, and that place is called Samseonghyeol. You've heard of it, Peter?
Samseonghyeol. No, I have not. Like Samsung, don't get confused. You know, there are places called Samsung, not just the electronics firm.
Right.
Hyol, that reminds me of like, probably completely wrong, but like blood or veins or something.
Yeah, I thought
it
so.
It almost makes me feel that way.
Right, I thought so too, but apparently it just means whole.
Oh, that's a bit underwhelming.
Or maybe it has something to do with like, because, veins, I don't know, maybe something like that. Somebody out there who's more knowledgeable can let us know. But I visited the site, Samseonghyeol. I had a really long and very pleasant interview with the 해설사 at the site, or the commentator. His name was Mr. Kim Won-soon. He was very knowledgeable and very helpful. But to describe...
You got a photo of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Oh, that looks very sacred.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a good judge of sacred things, but it looks a little bit like a mini Stonehenge almost. With those vertical, what are they?
Stones, yeah, stone columns, just kind of tiny ones. But this whole Samseonghyeol shrine, it's called now, is kind of like a park area. But this is the Samseonghyeol, the three holes that we're going to be talking about today. So to kind of describe what this place is, it's now a designated and protected historic site, and it's also said to be the oldest cultural historic site that's protected by Korea. So we all know, right?
Wow.
Jeju is a volcanic island, and we've talked about it before, but we have a lot of lava tubes kind of snaking around underground. And it just so happens that 3 of them opens up into 3 holes in the ground, all of which are just within a few meters of each other in the middle of like a small grassy field. And that's the picture that you saw.
That's quite rare.
Yeah, it's quite rare. It's very rare to see something like that, right? And you have 3 placed in together, so it kind of looks like a triangle. But this this place is believed traditionally by Jeju people that these tunnels were mystical in nature. And they actually led to the realm of the gods. And the whole site was believed to be sacred. So it was traditionally considered one of the most, if not the most, holy site on the island. And it wasn't just the islanders who thought so. Its sacredness was also recognized by a king. Back in 1526, a king had built like a red gate and an altar. And I have a video of our commentator, our 해설사, kind of describing what that is.
All right, let's check it out.
저 앞에 보면 빨간 기둥문이 있어요.
들어오면서?
네, 들어오는데 빨간 기둥문인데 그거를 우리가 홍살문 내지는 홍전문이라 그래요. 앞에 있다 그래서 홍전문인데 그 홍전문이 있는 그 안에는 모든 사람들이 들어가면서 경건한 마음으로 들어가로 예시를 해주는 거고 저 문을 세우는 거는 임금이 하사를 해야만이 문을 세울 수가 있는 겁니다. 아무나 세우는 게 아니고 우리가 향교 같은데 서원 같은데 다니다 보면 저런 홍살문이 세워져 있거든요. 그러면 홍살문 세워져 있으면 우리는 기본적으로 좀 유교법을 좀 알면 가슴에 손을 얹고 이렇게 목례를 하고 이제부터 조용하게 들어가겠습니다 하는 마음의 정리를 하면서 들어오는 겁니다.
Oh, so there's a very important entrance to this place.
Right. Prior to the entrance being erected by the king, by order of the king, it was considered a sacred site by the Jeju people, but its kind of nature, like its sacred nature, was also recognized by the governor of Jeju at the time. And then he had petitioned to the king to build this, and it could only be built but if the king granted it, right? So the king said okay. So like at the very top, right? It was considered to be a very sacred site. So this red gate was erected, and what it signifies is that when you enter the red gate, you're entering into like a very a place of reverence, right? So as you enter in Confucianism, when you see this red gate, Mr. Kim was saying, you place your hands on your heart, you give a bow, and then you take a moment to kind of 정리 your 마음, he says. So kind of just put your heart and mind and spirit in a reverent and still place, and that's how you enter.
Oh.
Yeah. So in part 2, we are going to go over the legend, the story of how everything came to be. And we'll get into the details. But first, I'm going to let Mr. Kim tell you kind of in a nutshell of the legendary tale of the three hermits.
Here we go.
삼성열에 4,300년 전에 세 신인이 혈에서 동시에 용출을 해서 이 땅에서 털을 잡고 살아가는데 처음에 용출했을 때는 한라산을 왕래하면서 사냥을 하는 수렵 생활을 시작을 합니다. 그러다가 어느 날 커다란 목함이 하나 들어오는 것을 발견을 하고는 한 걸음에 달려가서 보니까 거기 세 여자분, 공주가 세 분이 탔고 그 다음에 송아지, 망아지가 배에서 내리고 오곡 종자를 가지고 왔습니다.
Oh, an interesting story. 3 hermits, 3 holes. I see a pattern here.
Yes. So first of all, the word Samseonghyeol literally means the holes of the 3 clans. And so this is the story of the birth of the kingdom of Tamna, and it starts about 4,300 years ago, according to legend. So when Jeju was still a wild and uninhabited land, 3 demigods traveled up through these holes of Samseonghyeol, one god rising from each cave. And they all had different names. They were brothers, but they all had different names. One was named Ko, one was named Yang, and the third was named Pu. So interestingly, back to real life here, scholars and historians say that these 3 surnames, Ko, Yang, and Pu, originate from Jeju Island. So if any of you out there, have any one of these last names, you may most likely be able to track your ancestry to Jeju. Isn't that cool?
I know someone quite well. My wife has the surname Go. And so, she, her family, well, it's a bit complicated because her father came down from North Korea, during the Korean War. But because they are Goshi, they know they are from Jeju originally.
Right,
and he loves my father-in-law, Jeju, and wants to move there and all sorts. I didn't know there were other names. I thought it was just Go, but Yang and Bu.
Yes.
Bu is a very rare
Yes.
surname here.
Right. I've only met a couple of people with the last name Pu. Both of them I've met here in Jeju. But yeah, it's true. Go, Yang, and Bu.
Interesting.
Yeah, so these three men emerged from these caves or these holes, and they lived on the island together, hunting and foraging for food. That's how they survived. The story goes that they wore leather, the animal skins for clothing, and the main way that they got food was hunting and foraging. They were hunter-gatherers, basically.
Nice.
So one day, in the distance, out in the sea, they saw a great ship approaching the eastern coast of the island. And then they saw it anchor along the eastern shore just south of Seongsan Ilchulbong, which is Sunrise Peak. And today this area is called Yeonhonpo. And I do have a picture of that.
Wow, okay, so this is where they saw that great ship coming in. I think in the distance on the left is Seongsan Ilchulbong, right?
Yes, exactly. So they were curious, right? Obviously, they'd be curious. So they approached the ship to see what and who it was. And to their great surprise, after it docked on the shore, 3 beautiful princesses from the kingdom of Pyeongnak disembarked from it. I'm not sure.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the kingdom of Pyeongnak is, but I think it's like a heavenly spiritual kingdom. I think. Yeah, so they were sent, the princesses.
I've not heard of it either.
Yeah, the princesses were sent by the emperor of Pyeongnak to marry the 3 men and to help them cultivate the island. As their wedding gifts, the emperor sent a chest full of 5 types of grains and some livestock. And with these grains and with the help of the livestock, agriculture was birthed on the island. According to legend, this was when Jeju people went from being hunter-gatherers to farmers to developing agriculture.
Interesting. That's their kind of origin story, the way they understand their progress as a race of people on Jeju. That is so cool. Yeah, being an island, it is great that they incorporate the sea and a boat coming in there as well. Where to next, Angel?
Right. So we're going to get into some more details, of the story. But before I tell you guys about it, I'm going to let Mr. Kim get into some of the details first.
Okay, here we go.
목욕 재개하고 새 공주를 맞이한 삼신이는 어디서 하룻밤을 잘까? 신방굴, 이 용암동굴입니다. 제주도는 화산섬이기 때문에 군데군데 이런 용암동굴들이 많아서 저 혼인지에서 이 용암동굴까지는 한 100m 거리. 그래서 이 용암동굴에 와서 들어가서 보니 여기도 방이 하나 있고 여기도 방이 하나 있고 여기도 방이 하나 있어서 마치 새 신인이 새 공주를 맞아서 첫날밤을 지낼 수 있는 장소가 이렇게 이 신방굴이라는 곳에 가서 하룻밤을 자고 나서 아침에 일어나니 이제는 우리는 부인을 맞이하고 각자가 생활을 해야 될 건데 그럼 땅을 나눠서 우리가 사는 게 어떠냐 해서 새 신이 어느 날도 그럽시다 해서 그럼 어떻게 땅을 나눌 것이냐. 자, 높은 곳에 올라가서 이 산의 꼭대기 올라가가지고 화살을 쏘아서 화살 떨어지는 장소를 우리가 자기가 살 곳으로 정하자.
This is a fun story, isn't it?
Yeah, it just keeps on going. So after these 3 demigods meet these 3 beautiful fairy princesses, they were obviously, I would think, in a rush to get married. Right? That's what they were there for. They wanted to get married. So, so they brought their fiancés just a couple kilometers down the road because remember they met them at where, what was it called? Yeonhonpo? South of Seongsan Ilchulbong?
On the coast, right?
On the coast, right. So just a little, like 2 kilometers, about 2 kilometers inland, there was a pond there. And this pond is now called Honinji. And Honinji is a natural pond. Now remember, natural ponds that are permanent. It's a permanent natural pond. But these are really, really rare in Jeju because our land is so rocky, the soil. So everything usually just drains out. But Honinji, because of the nature of the pond, it was said to have been really sacred. So the 3 gods...
Was that the hole that he was showing us?
No, this is a totally different. Oh, that hole. No, that's the cave.
We've got it in the photo. Okie dokie.
Yeah. So the photo number 3 is the pond.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really, really pretty. By the way, if you're ever in Jeju around June when the hydrangeas are in bloom, I highly, highly recommend you visit this site just for the flowers. It's just really stunning.
Wow.
Yeah. So to continue on, it said that they were married at this location, but before the tradition, I don't know if it's just Korean tradition or if it was back in that day, but the day before you get married, you have to get clean. You have to wash your body.
Okay.
You have to bathe.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
that's nice.
They use this pond to bathe before their wedding ceremony. And then they got married at this site, at this location. After
at the pond.
At the pond, right. And then after they got married, they went just, I believe it's like about 100 meters, not too far from the pond is a cave. And I have an image of that too. This cave is called Shinbangul.
Oh, I don't know if I was a newlywed bride that I'd be particularly enticed by this. It looks like a dark hole in the ground.
It is a dark hole in the ground. But
lovely.
Yeah, but you can actually go inside. So if you ever visit Honinji, that area. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. You can go inside because when you do step inside, so this is how the story goes. This is a cave, but when you enter the cave, you'll notice there are 3 separate chambers. Like 3 separate enclosed areas. And it said that these 3 chambers were the bridal chambers of the 3 couples. And that's where they spent the night, and where they consummated their marriage.
Wow, amazing. In this cave. And you can it looks pretty small, but I'm guessing you can fit in there if the princesses could fit in there.
Yeah, I've actually been in, although I do remember, I think when I went in there were steps. So this may be an old picture. I just found this on another website. But you could go in and you can see the 3 chambers there.
Lovely. Is it relatively spacious or is it literally little nooks inside a small cave?
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
Okay, and then there was an interesting story of how they're going to decide where to live.
Right. So now the 고양부 men are married and they can't just be wild hunter-foragers anymore with no land boundaries. Now they have a family, right? So they just decided that they need to have designated land for each of them. So what they decided to do was to climb up the side of Mount Halasan to the top of a large hill. They would each shoot an arrow from the peak of this hill, and wherever their arrow landed, that's the land that they would claim. So this hilltop is now called 사시장올악. I hope I said that right. And that's for, to memorialize this moment. So they shot their arrows into the sky, and where their arrows landed, it was called 1도, 2도, 3도. Those were the names of their land.
Oh, they just randomly got those bits apportioned to them, having fired those arrows in the air.
Right. And they hit. So when their arrows landed and hit stones. And the 3 stones that they hit were considered also sacred by the Jeju people, and they were enshrined. Those stones are called samseonghyeol. So, I mean, this whole story has been completely memorialized.
Wow. And so you can see, if you noticed in the pictures, there seem to be like these little signposts on boulders or rock in front of each of those areas, I guess denoting how important it is.
Right, exactly. So now fast forward many years as the island began to become populated, they realized they had need for a single ruler, like a single king. So one of the 3 gods who had an exceptional talent and skill for agriculture, he was chosen to be the first king of Tamna.
Oh, one of the 3. It seems, I don't know if there were any gory, gruesome details behind it, but it seems like, I don't know, they all got on and there was no tragedy here. I like this origin story and fairy tale. No bloodshed.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because that was one of the points that the Hesorsa, the commentary teacher, he told me was that this story is a peaceful story, and so one of the things that it teaches Jeju people is to carry out life in peace. So they could have easily fought to be the leader of this kingdom, of this new kingdom, right? But they didn't. It was almost like a democracy, right? They just voted for whoever was the best doing agriculture, which was to help everybody stay alive, right? And to survive.
I like it.
Yeah. What's Up in Jeju is supported by JDC, which is creating a free international city that resembles nature, embraces the future, and reaches the world.
Arirang Radio.